I'm Trapper Lanthier.
And I'm Boaty.
And we are Scorched Moon. You're watching RichardMetalFan.
Hey, what's up, guys? Episode 276 of RichardMetalFan interviews, calling here at the Star Bar in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm here with my homies in Scorched Moon. I got like two-fourths of them, so I have half. So how are you guys doing?
Doing good, Richard. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing really well. I'm so glad we finally be able to make this happen.
Yep, indeed.
Yeah, so you're playing this awesome show tonight with our friends in Ice Giant, Zebellion Triangle, and of course Jaeger. So how excited are you for the show tonight?
I'm pretty stoked. I've been trying to make sure that this was a good one for everybody involved, and it's just I'm excited. I'm always excited to play a show. Honestly, it's always a good time.
Awesome. So kind of like the form is, I want to talk about you guys' musical journey and talk about the history of Scorched Moon and stuff. Okay. But take me back to when you both were young. So kind of growing up, what were the bands that got you two into metal? What made you want to play your respective instruments? We'll start with you, Boaty.
Well, so I started piano lessons before I started listening to rock, metal, and all that jazz. And literally jazz. I've been lucky enough to be taking lessons since I was 7. I started getting into metal in middle school. I went through ye old 2000s middle school journey, Breaking Benjamin.
That was my gate too.
It was the way, and it was really good. It got me into power metal. Power metal took me into high school. Sonata Arctica, Blind Guardian, great acts like that, and then prog around when I was 20.
Awesome.
And Haken is my go-to these days.
Cool.
So.
And what about you, Trapper?
So I remember there being a lot of stuff on the radio back in the day, but one time I heard Blind Guardian, I was just like, oh, I want to do that, and it made me decide to pick up a guitar and start trying to write music, which took me long enough, but I also really I fell in love with Ayreon and Dream Theater, and I found my way into prog just in general, and it was kind of that style of stuff. I ended up getting into folk metal when Tyr and Ensiferum and Teresis and all them were running around the... Yeah,
very underrated band.
The Varangian Way is just a banger of an album.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Battle metal is a bang song, especially those horns,
battle, metal, battle. It's fun times.
And so, were any of you guys in bands pre Scorched Moon, or was Scorched Moon's y'all's first band?
So for me, Scorched Moon, I had tried to start other things before Scorched Moon, but Scorched Moon was the first time I actually started a band that played in front of other humans. So yeah.
Scorched Moon was the first.
It was actually, originally it was me and a dude named Scott Helmrich, and we had eventually a bass player named Amanda, and then a keyboardist named Peter, and he was keyboards and vocals. And eventually, sad times, Scott's younger brother, who he had started playing music with when they were children, and he was a great bass player, but he had a chronic pain issue, and he had been on a type of painkiller, and he had a bad reaction with alcohol one night, and Scott ended up quitting music in general after that for a long while, and it just kind of caused Scorched Moon to go on pause for a long time, because I couldn't find people to continue to do it with while I was living in Savannah. So.
And I guess during the little hiatus, what were you doing in the meantime?
I was honestly just working on songs. I was I don't have any band to play with, but I just want to write. I want to get better at writing music. So I wrote songs. I learned some stuff. I started honestly during the hiatus, I started going to prog power and 70K, and doing that stuff really inspired me to want to do it again. And I ended up moving to Atlanta, trying to find a job in the brewing industry and trying to find bandmates to work with, and lo and behold, there were some people up here that were down to do the thing, so we got it going again.
And then you got back in 2016, so what made you decide to come back?
Honestly, I met Jersey at a fire spinning party with a bunch of nerds that I knew that were...
Fire!
Yeah. And he was like, oh, yeah, I play drums. And I was like, you want to jam sometime? He was wearing a cat. His shirt said, my cat listens to metal. And I was like, sit down, we're going to be friends.
Famous last
his words. True.
Do you want to come jam sometime? That's how everybody gets them.
Indeed. So, and like I said, I had moved up here kind of like looking for people to work with. Jersey was like, oh, I want to do prog. And I was like, well, I kind of already have a prog band that we can just like revive and start working on. And thus the second iteration, which is kind of really the first iteration of Scorched Moon that has like stuck.
The one that everybody knows.
Yeah, the one that has stuck has been rolling ever since. So
Awesome. But then tell me about like that first release in 2018, the Prologue EP. Yeah, I was checking that out. It had like the early visions of Lost Adrift and No Turning Back.
I'm gonna let Boaty start on this one.
Oh,
Because I think that was right around when you joined the band.
It was just in time. I joined in January of 2018.
And how'd you join?
So Trapper and I are in the same music fraternity. So I was at undergrad at University of Kennesaw State. I ended up getting a music degree, and during the journey, Trapper, being one of the alumni of said fraternity, alumni and collegiates blend pretty well. I got to know the man. I was just playing keyboards at the time and just a fan of going to concerts. I didn't have specific band aspirations, but it was a very happy accident. He asked me to jam one time. It worked. I've been in the band for 6 years. Prologue was our best attempt of getting off the ground at first. We all knew our instruments. We all had very amateur and mediocre experience in recording.
Yep.
So that was our just genuine basic microphone YouTube University getting something off the ground.
Yep.
Awesome. And then what were the first shows like during that whole cycle of the first EP? Were you like nervous at all playing like the first Scorched Moon show?
That's him.
Yeah, so the first Scorched Moon show actually happened on June 12th of 2017. Yeah, we played 529, which was a much different venue at that time. Like the merch, I don't know if the merch area at the 529 now used to be the stage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So because I know like they had the merch over there and the stage right there.
Yeah, but
so they kind of like swapped it around.
They'd knocked down a wall and built the stage.
I had no idea.
Yeah, the 529 is a very different venue than it was back then. But I was a little nervous, but like we got up there and we played, and it was a fucking rad time, and we have just persisted in playing shows. I had a birthday party that summer that we played. That was a lot of fun.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Well. Anyway,
we've been very lucky to have you fans of your channel probably know very well the Atlanta metal community is wonderfully loyal. In a very good way. So
everybody like knows each other. It's all like homies.
It's all friends. It's all family. So we've been lucky enough that either through proper communications or just somebody campaigning for us, we've gotten a lot of consistent shows, if nothing else, once every quarter. Mm-hmm. And the same people come out, and the same people have been very supportive. And even the first shows feel similar to today's shows because it's the same people in every crowd.
Yeah, actually, the very first show we played, you weren't in the band at the time. Yeah, but like the venue packed out when we played, and then everybody left.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, and then once you all done, it was like, fuck this, we're out.
Yeah, so like,
it's very sweet.
It was like, oh, that's cool.
Like,
I feel really bad for
people that give a shit.
Right? Yeah, like I felt it was cool to be able to have friends come out and support us and see us, and that's how it always is. I love playing to the friends around.
Yeah.
Like I love getting to see friends when I'm out at shows. It's rad.
Yeah.
Indeed.
It's rad and it's consistent. We could play for 1, we could play for 1,000, but we know there's going to be the same 10 people there, and having that consistency really takes a lot of the fear of a live performance away.
Yeah.
Right.
In a really good way.
Yeah, totally. And then you played around, and then of course the certain virus I refuse to name happened. But during that time, did you start writing for what would eventually become Obsidia?
Ooh.
So we had been writing for Obsidia. Like Lost Adrift and No Turning Back were like the beginning of the writing for Obsidia, and we had been they kind of took on their full form when you joined. But once Boaty joined, we had been working on like the record in general. Like we hadn't started calling it Obsidia. Really, I started working on what I called it Noir at the time. and I had been working on it since the hiatus, really. Like when the hiatus happened, like first was starting that first hiatus in 2013. I was like, I don't want to necessarily work. We had written an entire album, and I was just like, I don't necessarily want to go back over this material because there was a lot of like pain wrapped up in it.
There's something to be said also. It was just kind of a long process, sometimes from changing personnel, specifically in the what shall not be named year of 2020.
Yeah.
By that point, we had either all or all but one of the songs written. Mm-hmm. And so the time away, or the time in our own homes, started to let us really pragmatically focus on what's in the budget, what order are we taking this music, how are we going to go about mixing and mastering, a lot of the technical putting together stuff. But by 2020, most of the writing had been done.
Yeah, because I know during that whole time it sort of like fucked up the whole music industry, the pandemic did. Did that all sort of like influence the writing at all, or did you want to try to keep that separate?
Honestly, to be totally honest, I don't think the pandemic or the It Shall Not Be Named got in the way of our writing. We have the very lucky problem where we have 4 people who love to write, either inside the world and its problems, or outside the world in concept and in concept situations. So because we have such variety of writing style, the pandemic didn't really make it into our concept.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. We didn't really want to focus on it.
Yeah, we had also, like you said, we had mostly written the music by that point anyway, so
We weren't going to alter.
Yeah, we kind of weren't going to alter course. We just kind of were like, well, here's what we've got. Let's get it knocked out. Was kind of the vibe.
Yeah, and the whole album has like different vibes. Like a song like Light of Day has a bit of a triumphant vibe, and then you have songs that are kind of like almost like death metal with hints of like progressive elements. Almost kind of reminds me of like old Opeth. So it's fair to say like
Yeah.
each one of you guys have like a different influence and style into Scorched Moon.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of Opeth influence in my writing. like that was a band that Jersey and I bonded over, and Jade and I also bonded over, and Michael and I bonded over when we were like teenagers because Michael and I have actually been working together for a long time, but like this was the first band that actually became a band that he ended up like hopping on when our previous bassist, but yeah.
Opeth, I was the last one to get into Opeth, but I got there. But I also got there in the year 2023.
Yeah.
So I have a long way to catch
Blackwater
up.
Park is still a classic.
Forever ago. That's the pillar. Ghost of Perdition is what really makes me the happiest.
Yeah, like any old Opeth up to like Watershed is just perfect.
Oh, it's the magnum opus. I brought in a lot of the like Kansas and Yes and like the old 70s
Yes.
rock. That was honestly that's what I grew up listening to.
Yeah.
The better parts of Journey and Toto.
Yeah, and talking about like the progressive metal subgenre. So I'm always curious, like what makes progressive metal? People say it's like complicated riffs, different time signatures, and like 50 minutes plus songs. So what makes a prog metal band prog metal?
So a prog. There is a sound that is like associated with prog metal, and it is a lot of like complicated riffs and fast solos, like time signatures, like changing vibes, But to me, prog is like a mindset that you come to writing with. You want to learn and grow with each song that you make, and you want each thing that you did to surpass the previous thing, and you want to keep growing, and you want to progress. Like, it's literally, to me, prog metal is about progressing. I think that other things that are typical of it, though, like storytelling is important in prog metal. There's a lot of prog metal that are concept albums. There's a lot of prog rock that, like, it was like a classic part of the whole genre. And I think that those are things that are important, but ultimately it's the forward-thinking mindset of, I'm going to push myself and I'm going to write the coolest thing that I can come up with, and I'm going to challenge myself to grow with each song that I write. Is like part of it's like I said, it's not necessarily a sound, because there's a lot of like Opeth and Dream Theater don't really sound super similar.
Yeah.
They have some crossover in terms of a number of things, but they're very different musically, but it's about the mindset more than anything.
Yeah, because Dream Theater doesn't sound like Opeth. Opeth doesn't sound like BT Band. Like it feels like every prog rock band are similar, but they have like their own kind of like different things that make them stand out.
I think it really matters in knowing what you want, or using the album to find out what you want. I think that the best prog music, you either go on a journey as a listener, or you learn what these four musicians want the most out of their metal or out of their rock.
Yeah.
Because the good ones always sound a little bit unique every time.
And talking about like the songwriting process, I guess for you, Trapper, being like the singer, when it comes to like making lyrics, do you have to put yourself in like a certain mind frame in order to come up with lyrics, or they just come naturally and organically?
So writing is a thing that writing words is a thing that I've been doing since I was like a young child. Lyrics are just kind of a thing that they just kind of happen. It's like, this thing in my life, and they'll pop out. And is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Whatever emotion I'm feeling, I might hear a word that'll be like, oh, that word's cool. Oh man, that makes me think of this whole phrase, and then that phrase, and then I'll type out a lot of Obsidia. I was delivering pizzas for about 2 years while we were working on the writing process.
Grind time.
Yeah, and I would be like stopped at a red light and I'd be like, oh, that's a cool lyric idea, and I'd grab like a line, and then I'd take that line and I'd expand that line into a stanza, and then I'd take that stanza and I'd expand that stanza into an entire like set of lyrics. Boaty did a great job of editing a lot of my ideas, because I am the primary lyricist, but like Bodie's always like, you know what would be cool? This let's move these words around so that we can make the melody go this way. So like there's a lot of collaboration. Yeah, collaboration is important. We're the goal, I also think, is to be greater than the sum of our parts. Another thing that we aim for as far as the writing process.
Yeah. And also being a guitar player, do you find like expressing yourself like playing guitar and also singing expresses like two different sides of you creatively?
They are definitely different in terms of the mechanics of them, but they are kind of a part of the same function to me, in terms of like when I express myself with a guitar, like even when I wasn't trying to be the singer in the first iteration of Scorched Moon back in Savannah, I was still like writing the lyrics to the songs, and it was still like I wrote this music and I have these words that I want to communicate with the music. So like they're not, the singing and playing at the same time is its own thing, but like it's definitely especially when it comes to writing, they're interlocked, because the music needs to, like, as much as prog is bad about just like jumping all over almost too much, it's important that all of the elements combine in a cohesive way, which is a thing that for all our disparate parts, we attempted to like focus on making sure everything moved together relatively well.
All right. And I'm guessing for you, Boaty, as the keyboard player, because the keyboard's is a very melodic kind of instrument, so do you need to hear what the rest of the instruments are doing in order to lay down your parts, or do you usually have like a whole keyboard part written and the rest of the band writes according to that?
Well, so what's funny is in terms of the fastest, at least in our band, the fastest writer has tended to put down the first riff, and we all build around it. That has changed as the four of us have gone through, but historically, Trapper has a very fantastic ability to slap a riff down. Trapper has a very good ability to write a melody. I'm lucky enough that, at least with my background in keys, I've thankfully got a good enough ear that I can figure out what key center he's rolling around.
He has perfect pitch.
That was not the plan. Ousted on live
Good
TV.
ad there, Trapper.
Ousted on live TV. But for that skill, it makes it very easy for me to take his pre-existing riff and build chords and build direction. So he has the initial line, and I get to make his line sound more interesting. It's already interesting, but I get to be the one to fuck with it. If it's going to be inside the key and nice and harmonic, cool. But then I can switch up the chords and things get all crunchy and funky. So I get a little bit of creative freedom in guiding where his melody goes.
Awesome.
It's very fun.
Awesome. And being as Obsidia has been out for pretty close to like the year mark, have you all started writing some new Scorched Moon music? So what's the status with that, if you're allowed to say?
There is more on the way. When you have 4 writers chomping at the bit, or who essentially don't stop writing even if there isn't a quote-unquote need for an album, by the time a band like this sits down for its album 2, there's already enough for 2 and 3 albums. So the second album is slowly stewing in the pot. We're at the writing stages. We found a pretty good rhythm of getting the 4 of us in the same room and concocting something that I think we're going to be very proud of. We're very proud of Obsidia, and true to Trapper's mindset that I think we all agree is all of our mindsets. We intend to one-up ourselves in a fun and exciting way.
All right. And sort of kind of like in the end to wrap things up, what's next for Scorched Moon? I know you're going to play this awesome show tonight here at the Star Bar. Is this what next is for you guys in terms of like shows and stuff?
Well, so far we have another show that's definitely booked for September. We are tentatively trying to work on doing a little bit more like around in the Southeast, just to like go out and like really we need to move some merch, if I'm being just flat honest with you.
And just like spread the word of Scorched Moon.
I mean, like it'd be fun to go play Savannah, because I haven't played Savannah in a long time. I want to go play Nashville because Jade lived in Nashville for like a decade. I want to like I know I actually have met some people on Discord that are like, come play Charlotte, and I'm like, I'll fucking come play Charlotte. This is not far enough away.
Come to Brazil.
Right. So we have one more proper show in the books. Also, the very nice thing is one of Trapper's superpowers is being incredibly well connected. What that pragmatically means is that we often get tossed in not as a pinch hitter, but we are very grateful to have a lot put on our plate. So at the point of interview, we have one show, but in a month's time, we can have 3 or 4.
Yeah, depending on.
So we always kind of stay ready because we've had a couple of really wonderful opportunities fall in our laps. We intentionally at least go for once a quarter, and right now the next one's in September.
Yep.
Awesome. So thank you guys for this interview.
Indeed.
It's great to finally have you guys on the show.
Indeed.
There's just any final words you want to say to the viewers that are watching this to close us out?
Well, if you've given this a watch and you enjoyed it, go give us a listen and like and comment and subscribe.
What they said.
Hit that notification bell. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. Again, to play for 1 or 1,000 is an honor. If you are interested in what we do, you'll find us at Scorched Moon on all social media platforms. If you have a desire to write, find the time. It is well worth it.
It is.
Awesome. So everybody, my boys in Scorched Moon, see you next time.